Good afternoon to all of you. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be here. I'm a second time at BT. Today we're talking about something important, which is experience-centric design. Now we are moving from an economy which was so much focused on technology onto the economy which is focused on experience. Even if I'm creating a product or a service, at the end of the day, what the consumer is consuming is an experience. In organizations like BT, we often are dawned by this very strong thought that we are a B2B company. So why should we think about design thinking? Why should we care about experiences? Now, however B2B you may be, at the end of the day, at the end of the line, there is a human being who is most likely using your product. For example, this light changer over here. The company that would have designed this light changer has to keep me in mind, even if the person who has procured the light changer is not using it at all. And hence, you might be B2B, you might be deep into technology, but what we need to always keep in mind is technology is an enabler at best, nothing beyond that. And hence, we need to focus on experiences. Let me take a minute's time to talk to you about the history of design thinking. Design thinking is not new. In fact, the person who first used design thinking was a person by the name Herbert Simon. Herbert Simon is the same gentleman who coined the word artificial intelligence. In this very famous book in 1969, where he talked about that machines can eventually take on human beings. And he has the distinction of being the only person who got a Turing Award and the Nobel Prize in economics, where he didn't work on economics at all. 1969, and we're saying in 2018, and we're talking about design thinking. So we are really, really behind schedule significantly. And the reason why we are so late in boarding the boat is because we think that design thinking is only for services company. It's only for the companies which are making interesting products like Apple or maybe Google or IDEO, etc. So I have 4 or 5 basic principles which I want to drive home with the help of a few videos, and hopefully we'll be able to understand design thinking slightly better. The first premise is the importance of thinking about, if I can get my next slide, the function over form. Often what happens is that we are so fixated on the form, that how a thing should look like, for example, how a bottle should look like, or how a slide changer should look like, and not so much about what it is supposed to do. An example which I want to drive home is in the healthcare space, a baby incubator. Now, this city is famous for incubators of a different kind, which is to do with startups. I'm talking about the more basic incubators, which are meant to keep a baby warm at 37 degrees centigrade. And there are millions of babies who die because of premature birth, and more so in the developing economies, there aren't enough baby incubators. Even if the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundations and the WHO and the UNs of the world are able to supply these baby incubators, more often than not, they don't work. So how do you solve the problem of keeping a baby warm? Here's a very interesting video and a very interesting take on a bunch of students who had designed a baby incubator that costs 1% of a classic baby incubator. They did their trials in Nepal, then they came down to India, and right now it's available in our own country. I would request the team to roll the video, and once it is over, we'll have a quick shot at that.
As I watch my child sleep, I feel a sense of inner peace. I will do everything to protect him, and I want to always be there to give him unconditional love.
Every day, he teaches me something new, and together, we share many special moments.
But the day my child was born, the only thing I wanted was to help her live.
One of the biggest problems these babies face is staying warm. This is the primary function of an incubator, but traditional incubators cost thousands of dollars and require electricity. Parents in rural areas resort to desperate measures to care for their babies, including tying hot water bottles around the babies, placing them under light bulbs, or holding them over hot coals. The Embrace Infant Warmer is a simple solution to this problem. Embrace consists of 3 parts: a sleeping bag, a heater, and a pouch of phase change material. Once heated, the phase change material is placed into a compartment in the sleeping bag and can maintain a constant temperature of 37 degrees Celsius or 98 degrees Fahrenheit over the next 4 to 6 hours. The product stays warm without electricity. It is safe and intuitive to use, easy to clean, portable, and allows close mother-to-child interaction. Embrace's mission is to give every infant a chance for a healthy life. Every child deserves the opportunity to live, to grow, to dream.
And that's innovation. Just to give you a perspective, between the time Soni started her talk to now, close to about 500 babies would have died somewhere in the world. It's not lack of technology. It's not even lack of access. It's lack of thinking. It's lack of thinking in a clean slate design that a baby warmer has only one function, which is to keep the baby warm. The glass cabin, the bulb, the electricity, the exhaust, and the oxygen supply is what we have created. The intent is to keep a baby warm, and people are doing it with or without you. So the core premise of thinking about experience, so-called effortless experience, which is one of the cornerstones of BT, to think about effortless experience, what you need to always keep in mind is job to be done. What's a job to be done? The job to be done is the most basic element of a problem that you have to solve. Often what happens is that we are so drowned into the technology which we have at hand that it is a proverbial hammer which is looking for a nail. And we really want to see what is that I can do with the technology at hand. And that is very, very critical when you are trying to make things highly intuitive, highly effortless. Let's take another example of HVAC systems. Now, we are sitting in this room, right? I'm suspecting that the temperature might be around, say, 21 degrees centigrade. And there must be an HVAC unit sitting somewhere mounted on the wall, and only the experts can manage that HVAC unit. Every time you enter into a hotel room, you see this little unit on the wall where you have to control the temperature. Many times it is quite irritating. It doesn't know because it's not so intelligent as to what is to be done. Now, here is an organization which has really taken all the technology out of it and made it so simple for you that you cannot make a mistake. So let me show the video across to you, and then we'll talk about that. How did they really go about changing some of the most fundamental premise that we have in a B2B context and about using technology. Here's a video for you.
This thermostat will make you love your thermostat. It's in millions of homes around the world. It's saved billions of kilowatt hours of energy so far. And that's just the beginning. Meet the 3rd generation Nest Learning Thermostat. It has a bigger, sharper screen, and it's even better at learning what you like. Just turn it up or down. It will catch on after a few days and create a personalized schedule for you. That's how the Nest Thermostat saves energy. In real homes with real families, it saved so much energy, it paid for itself. To save even more, just follow the leaf. Nest even turns itself down when you leave the house. And you can control it from anywhere. You can see how much energy you use every day and how to use less. Energy companies all over the world are giving the Nest thermostat to their customers because they know it saves energy. That's the most beautiful part. The Nest Learning Thermostat programs itself, then pays for itself.
And this is the organization which got recently acquired by Google for a couple of billions of dollars. What have they done? They have not changed the basic principles of how a thermostat has to work, but they've made it so intuitive. They made it so intelligent, and one of the first companies in the smart home area which really got gobbled up by a large organization. Let's go back to some of the things that we have been experiencing. If I was here a couple of years back, maybe just about 2 years back, one of the very interesting applications that we used to talk to each other was Skype. from Microsoft. And just about a few months back, WhatsApp launched a video call. And all of a sudden I saw, including myself, that people, log, stock, barrel, moved from Skype video calling to WhatsApp video calling, isn't it? At least in the consumer segment. Now, if you look at technologically, WhatsApp is not as superior as Skype. May not be as secure as Skype, but doesn't matter. We are living in the time and the ages where the superior technology gets beaten by inferior technology. A technology, and both were free, by the way. When Skype was free, WhatsApp is free, and between two things which are absolutely free, consumers have a choice. Now, what do you do then? So the point is that let us not look at the best technology to solve the problem. In fact, when we talk about experiential design, we use a word called appropriate technology. The technology is just about there to solve a real problem, provided you understand what the real problem is. Understanding the problem is a non-trivial activity. It's really a non-trivial activity. Let's take another example from this very city of bicycles. Now, the last mile connectivity, which we have all been struggling about to reach to your bus stand or the metro station, has always been a challenge. You have to haggle with the auto rickshaw driver every day morning, again on the way back, and here comes, and there are so many people trying to have solutions around carpooling, solutions around affordable metered taxis, auto rickshaws, etc. But the disruption really came from bicycles. Here is a bicycle and dockless bicycles, which means they don't have to dock the bicycles. You just take the bicycle from point A, leave it at the bus stand or the railway station, wherever you are, and somebody else uses that. All you pay is 10 rupees. That's a disruption. Nobody thought a bicycle, a gearless bicycle, would be able to disrupt a car. It's not the superior car. And as I would want to slightly disagree with my previous speaker that maybe 5G may not be able to replace 4G or may not be able to replace 3G. What we might need is that how do you make the existing technologies work better? And not really look at the best technologies, because what happens often is that we miss out on the global optima while trying to solve a very small local optimal problem. Customer does not want technology. Customer wants a problem to be solved. With technology, without technology. And more often than not, disruptions come from the most unthought of quadrants. Who will disrupt BT? BT won't be disrupted by the known players. BT most likely would be disrupted by somebody whom you don't consider worthy of competition. I'm not saying startups. It can be individuals. It can be a group of individuals. And that's precisely what happened to one of the oldest knowledge houses in the world, which is the Britannica Encyclopedia. Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, disrupted an organization which stood for close to about 2 centuries, was an icon in itself, instrumental in bringing knowledge down to so many people, with Wikipedia, which manages close to 9 billion pages with an employee strength of 36. 36. If I put an error on Wikipedia right now, by the time I finish my talk, it would be rectified. Not by those 36 people, but the community of people who are nameless, who are faceless. So while you are a technology company, don't think of technology as a panacea for everything. May not be the case. And that's what brings me to one of the very iconic examples of why engineering is not always the answer. The context which I want to portray is of an operation theater, or even better, of a MRI scan or a CT scan. If you have been to an MRI scan or a CT scan, it's not the best place to be at. It's highly claustrophobic, a small opening where you are supposed to go in. Imagine a child has to go through an MRI scan. World over, close to about 85% of all the children are sedated when they have to go through an MRI scan. Parents are very, very concerned as to how will the child go through this scan. And there are all these organizations, large companies like GE, Siemens, Toshiba, etc., who are fighting it out, with each machine costing you no less than 2.5 crore rupees. That how do we put a child through MRI? And the moment I sedate the child, what really happens is what I'm trying to really monitor is not correct. It loses fidelity. All the minds put together to try to solve this problem with technology have failed, and what they resorted to was a very different approach altogether, where they draw inspiration not from a competition, not from another technology, but from something very, very tangential. Here's a video for you. Guys, can I have the video, please?
Hi, I'm Bob Schwartz. I'm General Manager of Global Design at GE Healthcare, and I want to talk to you today about some pediatric medical experience work we've been doing. You know, when little kids go in for medical procedures, 70 to 80% of them, especially in diagnostic imaging, have to be sedated. And of course, this provides some risk to them. There's additional trauma for their parents, and it causes a higher cost for the healthcare system and also some ongoing workflow challenges for the team. So we've sort of characterized the journey that kids go on as an anxiety journey, and they do this with their parents. So imagine you've taken a kid into a suite of diagnostic imaging rooms, and the parents are typically not so concerned at that moment about what might be wrong, but rather, how am I going to get my child into this? So we thought, what if we created a series of adventures? What if we could make this medical play, whatever that means, and create illusions to disrupt that anxiety journey? And at that moment that the young one had to go through the door into the big dark room where the monster lives, maybe it was something very pleasant. So we created a series of adventures, a series of stories that the kids get to be inside. They could be nautical, jungle adventures, pirate journeys, undersea adventures, camping trips, and the staff gets involved, and the little ones get to participate in this even before they come to the hospital. Once they're there, the reason they're lying still on the tables is because right at that moment in the story, they know that they have to be perfectly still. And we've installed now 9 suites in a major medical center, and in the early going, kids are being sedated 90% less. A clinical trial is going on, and we hope to have the results published fairly soon. We think this is a huge breakthrough and differentiator for GE Healthcare.
90% less kids are sedated. Where's the technology? Where is the technology? And that's where you make a difference. You don't make a difference by putting more technology behind what you already have. You make a difference by looking beyond technology. Lastly, we're talking about how do we think about bringing design thinking into services. As I'm suggesting, the barometer of an economy which has progressed from manufacturing, before that agrarian, to manufacturing to services, is about how do people consume services. And please understand, services are not monolithic. And the best designs in the world are the ones that can nudge the customer into doing things differently. Banking is a great example of that. And within banking, the example that I'm talking to you about is how do you nudge people to save? In India, thankfully, we have a very high percentage of GDP that gets saved, but in many developed economies, saving is not a habit, especially in the teenagers. And how do you cultivate this habit of saving without really disrupting their lifestyle? It is a very interesting case of that being applied in the banking industry. Here's a video for you.
At Bank of America, we recognize that innovative banking products are the key to attracting new customers. That's why we recently launched Keep the Change, a unique program that helps customers put aside savings on a regular basis. Here's how it works. Under the Keep the Change program, every debit card purchase made by a participating customer is automatically rounded up to the next dollar. The difference is then transferred to the customer's savings account. Every debit card purchase adds to the total. To provide added incentive for new accounts, the bank matches 100% of program deposits for the first 3 months and 5% thereafter, up to $250 per year. Bank of America's Keep the Change program was launched in October 2005 and has already proven an overwhelming success. By January of 2006, the program has attracted more than 1 million customers, and more than 20% of these customers were new to the bank. Imagine a program that attracts 200,000 new customers in just 3 months. That's the power of innovation.
That's it. Now, in a highly competitive industry, which is banking industry, you nudge the customer to a behavior which otherwise would not happen by making it highly intuitive, by designing and not thinking of technology as a panacea. And the last thing is that the best products are habit-forming products. Back home, one of the habit-forming products in India is Paytm. We don't mind really yanking out our phone, directing the camera to do a QR code, and bang comes a 10-digit number, and we transact. Paytm was not the only e-payment, e-wallet application at the time of demonetization, but with 110% of all the cash back in the economy, Paytm still rules the roost. More in the tier 2 and tier 3 places. It's because it is highly intuitive. In a country where mobile penetration is more than literacy rate, you don't rely on people to learn numbers so much to do transactions. And hence, habits have to be formed. So let me go to the last collage. We'll skip the video. Let me go to the last collage on summarizing the key takeaways of this particular presentation, which is this. That we have to think about the end objective which is required and not how it is met. Make it so intuitive that people, even if they want to, can't make mistakes. And that's what Steve Jobs used to very famously say, that my products should be useful both to your grandmother and to your grandchild. And the best examples of the best design products are the toys. You've never seen a child reading a manual as to how to play with a toy. And that's the power of great design. Design can move from products to technology to experiences, and the best designs are the ones that form habits that die hard. So thank you so much, and I wish you luck.